Ms. Simmons?
Here.
Ms. Dominguez?
Present.
Okay, item 1A, consider approval of the low bid for Champ Cooper Elementary School roofing project by Coleman Roofing LLC in the amount of $393,000. Mr. Nottaway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We received 6 bids, and the low one was from Coleman Roofing. We are asking the board to go ahead and consider approving this for the Champ Cooper roofing project replacement.
And hear that form of motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Okay, and seconded by Ms. Simmons. Any discussion? Questions? Public input? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote.
Voting is open. Voting is closed. Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Item B, consider approval of change order number 1 for Champ Cooper Elementary School Phase 1 project to install a road and culvert in the amount of $51,924.91.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's actually 2 change orders. One's a credit. We're
Right.
changing out the lock sets at the doors. It's a small credit of $762. And then we're constructing 440 feet of road that's going to be 22 feet wide. This road and foundation will ultimately be part of the parking lot that the permanent building will be on. That's part of phase 2 of this project. But the extra space is needed today to store materials and for contractors to park to alleviate parking on the parent pickup line and alleviate traffic that's going out on Highway 25, Highway 445.
Okay, do we have a form of motion?
Motion. Thank you. Motion to fix the
Motion
road.
made, seconded by Ms. Simmons. One question on that, when we get it in those kind of prices, I don't know I'm not familiar with our contracts, but do we require the subs or the general contractor to get more than one price from subs?
No, but Mr. Stitzinger has reviewed and the prices on it, his experience allows him, he challenges the contractors on that, and he has had them revise their prices on many of the change orders that he
Okay.
approves before they come to me.
Good. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Any questions? No public comment? Call for a vote.
Voting is open. Voting is closed. Motion passes unanimously.
Item C, consider approval of the low bid for Martha Vineyard Elementary School re-roof project by Roofs Restored in the amount of $352,900.
Mr. Chairman, we had 6 competitive bids. The low bid was Roof Restored. They've done work before. We're very pleased with this contractor. So we ask that you go ahead and approve the low bid of $352,900.
Okay, we have a form of a motion.
I'll make this one.
Ms. Simmons made the motion.
Second.
You can say.
Second by Mr. Dominguez. Any other questions? Public input, call for a vote.
Voting is open.
Mr. Snarback, is that the last of our roof repairs from the hurricane?
I have 3 more to work on.
3 more?
Yes, ma'am. Just to answer, it's Hammond High, it's going to be Kentwood High, Laranja Elementary and Middle, and Tarrant Elementary, so it's actually 4.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Item D, consider approval, proposed change order number 1 for Hammond High Magnet 14 Classroom Edition for the amount of $37,592.67.
There's, Mr. Chairman, there are 6 portions of this change order. One is a credit. It's actually a credit related to rerouting the electrical service. If y'all recall last year, a few years back, a year and a half ago, we had to redo the main entrance for that Hammond High campus. The new location is actually closer to the building than the old location, so we're getting a credit on that. But in addition, the rest of the additional change orders deal with repair work required to move existing water, gas, and sewer lines that are under the footprint of the new building. So that's basically the bulk of the changes that we're doing now. In addition to the $37,592.67, we are also adding 13 days to the project.
Let me get on the floor first, I have a few questions about it.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Duncan, second by Mr. Dominguez. I just went through these just to look and see, first of all, the 13 days, considering that each day cost us $627. Let me back up. It seemed like the problem was found when they were excavating the dirt. They didn't know that these
Yes.
services were there.
Yes.
So the first question would be, why wouldn't we know, why wouldn't we locate water, gas, sewer, chiller lines before we,
Well, we actually,
this
we
is,
actually have a professional service that comes in and identifies what's subsurface.
right.
And they failed to identify this.
So do they bear any responsibility?
I don't believe so.
In all of the existing drawings that we had, there was no record of these lines, and we did get the, they came out and did like an x-ray or something of the ground, and they didn't find it either. So we're not sure why they were missed, or why there was no record of them in existing drawings. But that was the vast majority of them was from that, and then the line was just, the credit actually is the one thing that we knew about, and we knew it would be a credit.
Right.
Right after.
Yeah, that was my big question, because usually, it seems like somebody would have some responsibility. If we pay a service to do this, not only did they miss one, but two of these breaks are on the same line on the south end and the north end.
We had similar on other projects. I know our Ponce School, the high school project, we had subsurface piping and things that got in the way of the construction, and the engineering company that did the survey was not responsible
So
for
who,
what they missed.
do we have I mean, Pierre, you might be able to answer this. I mean, do we have a contract with these people, or?
This is a constant struggle for our region and area. These companies that do this, they utilize a variety of different tools to use it, but the most reliable one in other areas, not in South Louisiana, is the ground penetrating radar.
Right.
And apparently, our soil types don't cooperate well with that equipment. So it's a pet peeve of mine. It happens all the time that we pay for this service, and of course they have all these disclaimers about, not responsible for, they don't find everything. There seems to be always something that they miss, and it's very frustrating.
Well, the other part of that question is if you look at all this is tied together. Of course, they, found the pipes, the gas lines, the sewer line, the water line, and then on each individual one, they're claiming, 4 hours on each one, 4 hours for this, 4 hours for that. One of them, they claimed 8 hours for a truck, but 4 hours for labor. So all these, the hours of the truck matched the man hours, but on one of them it didn't, which resulted in 4 extra man hours for that day. But for 13 days, I mean, logically, I think everybody would understand that they found this problem, they fixed it, excavation, compacted it, fixed it, and then they rerouted it. They didn't do like one of these in 3 days, and then the next one in 3 days, and the next one in 3 days, but yet we're getting charged for a total of 13 days total.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kohler, I'm not familiar with that, Frank's not here, I'm going to turn it over to the architect.
Each of them were found individually over several weeks while they were doing the groundwork. So they fixed one, repaired it, and then after that was repaired, they found another, unforeseen.
So they wasn't in the same area, is what you're saying?
It was all throughout the building pad. So the building is in that quad area, and so there were several lines going across. And so as they were working, because they have to go a little bit bigger than the building pad, as they were working, they were finding things that we had no record of. So it was over a few weeks that it was happening. So it wasn't all at once that it was found. So they couldn't repair it all at once.
Do we contract with the person to find these things? And we sign a contract that says we're hiring you to do it, but if we don't find it, we're not liable for it? I mean, that sounds...
That's a good job, and
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna
Yeah,
start drawing up more contracts like that.
are these contractors not liable? Do they not have insurance?
They have insurance, but
Are
they
we,
have,
do we require that they have insurance?
we do require that they have insurance, but it clearly states in their contract that they're not liable for anything they don't find. And
Well-
that seems to be the norm in the industry, as the airport.
So they're finding these lines, while they're digging? So these are lines that have to be repaired?
Yes, the construction companies out there working, that's when they come across the line. Would you say something else?
Well, I was just gonna say, it doesn't always require repair. Sometimes they just find it by happenstance and it doesn't get damaged. And then they have to make plans to move it and replace it or whatever. So
Okay, so that movement is required so that they can complete the projects at
They
hand?
have to move it because it's in the way of the building. whatever,
right.
you know, It's either too shallow and we got footings that are gone in its place. But
How deep are these lines that we're breaking? How deep in the ground are they?
I'm not sure.
I mean, because you would think that they would be able to pick that up with the tools that they're using for locating these lines.
Mr. Moore, I'm not sure how deep they are.
I had a question. I'm just curious where these lines were running to. Whether is it to one of those newer practice buildings or something?
I don't know. I have to look at where they were running, but
But they, I mean, they were providing services to some of those buildings towards the back, I would imagine, right?
probably so.
Yeah.
I have to look into it to see what they were servicing. They just repaired them as quickly as they could.
I got you.
you know, my,
Sewer line, water line.
Gas line?
My guess was that they were for that addition that we did, because if they weren't in the original building plans, the only building back there that was, or there's two buildings back there, I think, that were not in the original high school, which was the new weight room and then that practice facility,
The second gym.
the second gym.
of course, I know, you know, everybody knows I'm a tight wad, and I always argue about price, but $41,599 is what the total for this whole debacle as far as finding pipes and rerouting pipes. And I understand construction costs are expensive. I don't disagree with that, and all I can do is hope that we're doing our due diligence to make sure that we're not being overcharged, because in some of these things, like I said, where you have 8 hours and you have 4 hours, you're paying for a truck for 4 hours that there's no manpower for. And then the last question, and I'll leave it alone, but a 15% markup from the plumber on the subcontractor. I mean, I understand the contractor charging his overhead.
Yeah, I wish Mr. Stritzinger was present to get answer.
I've never known a contract that allows a subcontractor to do a markup, because we have these other change orders and there's not a markup. So I understand the contractor marking up the subcontractor's bill, but the subcontractor's marking it up 15%, and then the contractor's marking it up 10%. And that's just something we need to check in our contract. If it's not allowed, 15% of this is a pretty good bit.
Brett, it seems to me, Brett, that just based on the damages that have had to be repaired,
Yes.
and for all of the plumbing that was not detected when they did the original inspection, all right, that we should be requiring some different kinds of procedures from these contractors. I mean, if they're digging, then maybe they need to stop, and we need to do a different inspection once we get so deep in this, on these construction sites, to see if there's something that was missed by that procedure.
We have two of our architectural firms here, that's something they can talk to more than I can. If there are any type of other survey equipment or options available to us before the construction starts.
I believe that making a requirement like that would be a lot cheaper than having to pay for the damages that are incurred.
Yes, sir.
Well, so, but Brett, my understanding, and certainly nobody's happy about this, but even if we would have found it, we still would have had to move all of this
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Correct.
That-
It would have been done on a competitive bid process
Right.
instead of a the change order.
And $11,000 for just the repair.
And we would have had the advantage of knowing that it needed to be done.
Approved, and he's looked at the pricing.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
his fault.
yeah, and in a case like that, we would have had the advantage of knowing that this work needed to be done.
Correct.
You know, and it would have been included in the competitive bidding, which may have made a difference in which contractor got assigned
Certainly.
this project.
Ready to vote?
Yeah.
We call a
You
question?
had to call it. You have,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just, it's still just, I just don't like the whole idea of the 13 days. You know, how do we stand on construction days as far as on the project?
On this particular project, I'm not sure. Do you know how we're doing on time?
We're doing fine, they're moving quickly, this is just to cover what they had to spend in case weather days come up.
Right. Yeah.
You know, my only question would be, in a case like this, first of all, is this a bill that has been submitted to us for repairs?
Work's already been done.
The work's already been done.
Pretty much. I think
So do we not have an option of negotiating these prices?
We have already, our supervisor of construction has reviewed the original proposals and discussed them with the contractor. I'm sure there were some changes made before they got to this point.
But yeah, I mean, we have the right.
Yeah, if it's
We
not
have the right.
approved, then obviously the work's been done, they'll probably be settled some way. So, the thing is, our process for change orders is very slow when we only meet once a month.
Right.
I mean, I'm just thinking that if we just submit to any claim for, for claim to be paid for repairs that had to be made, especially since these contractors are the people who are creating the damage, that just opens us up.
Well, again, as Pierre said, and he's not the engineer on this, the architect on this project, it may not be damaged, it may be something that they came across and it was undamaged, but still had to be moved.
Yeah, I mean, in a necessity, right? I can see that, right?
No, it was
We don't wanna
damaged. Yeah, the lines were breached and they had to repair it.
Every one of them
That
was
was
damaged.
$11,000 of the bill was for the repair, and then we paid again to move it. So that was,
Yeah, 11,000 is the repair, I see that.
yeah. But anyway, anybody else?
Which, in that case, it may be why the plumbing was higher, because it was an emergency, the water was running all over, and they had to hurry up and fix it.
But that would
I
be.
mean, we don't know that at this moment,
But-
but since it was an increase, a higher,
But that goes
But
back
that
to-
in almost every case would be the responsibility of the contractor
you
who
have to get
created
it
the
done right
damage.
away.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't just say that that's just our responsibility because they broke it. And then we paid again to move it, to reroute it, whatever had to be done. It seems like there should be some shared responsibility for the cost of these
But
repairs.
they did their due diligence by having the
Fixing it.
survey, by
Yeah.
having the company come out to try and
And say
find
it's
it
all clear.
beforehand. I mean,
yeah,
so I
say
mean,
it's all clear, but you can't sue us.
so the contractor did what they were supposed to do by getting the x-ray done.
Yeah.
It didn't find anything, and then the x-ray company that we hired, apparently, we said, look, do your best to find it, but if you don't, we're not gonna hold you liable for it. So, I mean, that's just the terms of the agreement.
I mean, but the thing is they knew how deep they were gonna have to dig. So if that company who came out to do the survey did not have the equipment to do a sufficient observation or survey, then they should be held responsible for
Can,
whatever it is that they
can the
missed.
lawyer look at that
If
contract?
y'all want to do that, we'll turn it.
Can the
over
lawyer
to our
look-
attorneys and have them look at the contract and see if
Yeah.
there's any recourse for us.
Yes,
We should.
I think that's what we should.
I just don't think we should overlook this and just write it off. That's all.
Can we table this
Yeah?
until we know what our rights are? I moved to table this item.
We move forward with getting this approved and go forward.
And then-
Proceed with the contractor at a different price. The general contractor on the job it was not his fault that he came across this unforeseen sewer and gas lines.
I understand that could be his opinion,
That's
and
why I would recommend strongly approve.
So, I mean, the change order is for the contractor.
Correct.
If we have some sort of recourse against that company, that's a separate thing that we can pursue
Yeah.
after approving this change order.
Yes.
was it the same contractor who repaired it?
No.
Who damaged it? Are they different?
No, that is the same contractor. That's the one contractor on the job. It's
Okay.
a contractor who, while digging, came across the lines.
And that same contractor
They
repaired it?
repaired it in this
Yeah.
change order, and then they moved it in this change order.
Yeah.
They subbed out the work to the plumber, who charged an extra 15%.
It's not the same contractor that looked
Inspected it. It's not the same contractor who inspected the work.
to try to find it.
Correct.
It's not the same person.
So by approving the change order, we're not waiving any sort of ability to go after that company if the lawyers find a way to do that.
Correct.
I still say there's small issues in here that need to be addressed. I mean, if we approve this tonight, are we approving it at this price? But we're not backing up and we're not going back and looking at 15%
Certainly, the
markup?
administration could go and talk to the contractor one more time about the pricing.
Well, we ought to look at our contract, not talk to him. Our contracts would spell out exactly what the subcontractors can charge for.
And I will look into that.
Yeah.
So I don't know that right off the top of my head.
Okay.
This is just in committee, we'll.
Yeah, it's a committee, so you gotta bring it back
Yeah,
Tuesday
it's
anyway.
gotta pass again, if it passes tonight.
Okay, wishes of the board.
Call a question.
Question's been called for?
Voting is open on the motion to approve. Voting is closed. Motion passes with Mr. Moore and Mr. Westmoreland voting no.
Okay, consider approval of certificate of completion, substantial completion for Kentwood High School window replacement and repairs.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead.
Mr. Chairman. This work is now completed. There's still some items that are on the punch list that still to be done, but we're asking for the board to go ahead and consider substantial completion of this project.
Motion to adopt.
Motion made,
Second.
seconded. Any discussion? They look very good, by the way.
Thank you.
Are we gonna have a ribbon cutting?
For windows?
Well,
Because Contreras Meat Market is one of my favorite things to go to, and I'll give me a reason to go to Kentwood. Just saying.
Questions, comments?
Go to Kentwood.
Question called for?
Tom
Voting is
Tolan-
open.
Tom Tolan knows about Contreras Meat Market.
I'll do that. Very good supporter of our schools up there.
Mr. Snout, on the last one though, if you would, please, before the full board takes this back up at the board meeting, double check all of that stuff that Mr. Toller brought up and see if,
change order? Yes, sir.
see if there, I mean, I think he makes a lot of really good points, and if there are any savings or issues in the contract that we can look at, hopefully we can address that.
I can
before.
email them to you, but it's gonna go to your spam.
No, I have.
Any other questions? I do wanna say one thing.
Voting is
before-
closed.
Oh, go ahead.
Motion passes unanimously.
Friday night, Kentwood and Sumner played at Sumner, or Thursday night, I'm sorry. That was, of course, it was standing room only, and we used our restroom for the first time on the visitor side. And we fight a lot in here, and we argue about stuff, but that small addition was a huge improvement for those kind of games. Our two home teams playing against each other, and these people, they didn't have to walk all the way across the football field to use the restroom. So it was well lit, looked nice, so thank you very much.
Did they use the concession stand too?
They did not use the concession stand, they just used the restrooms.
They missed out on an opportunity there.
Yeah, there was a lot of people there. It was a good game. We won't talk about who won, but it was a good game.
I'm sure Miss Janice would say,
We'll
go
tell-
Roos.
Anything else we brought before capital outlay?
Baseball team plays in.
Did we get an update
Or your
on?
baseball team.
Well, no,
plays
Mr.
in
Frank's not
Division
here, so
I,
never mind.
Depending on how many teams you
All right.
have at that time.
Meeting adjourned.